Let's take a look at a few more practice problems about the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, the Pythagorean theorem is about right triangles, which are triangles that have one 90-degree angle and the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. For our first set of problems, we're just finding the missing length. So let's look at problem number 2. We have a side length A, which is 5, B, which is 13, and C, we don't know. So we know that 5 squared plus 13 squared will tell us what C squared is. 5 squared is 25. 13 squared is 169. And when we add 25 to 169, we get 194 is equal to C squared. To undo our squared, we use the square root. So we take the square root of both sides. We can say C is equal to the square root of 194, or we can estimate it to find out what two perfect squares it's in between. I believe it is in between the square root of 169, which is 13, and the square root of 196, which is 14. And it's very, very close to 14, so we can call it 13.9. Approximately 13.9, rounded to the nearest 10th. For questions 5 through 9, C is the hypotenuse of the right triangle with sides A, B, and C. I like to draw the right triangles I'm working on. We'll look at questions 5 and 8 together. If we look at question 5, we see that side A is 12, side B is 5, and we're looking for side C. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, 12 squared plus 5 squared is equal to C squared. 12 squared is 144, 5 squared is 25, and that equals C squared. 144 plus 25 is 169. And we can take the square root of both sides. 169 is a perfect square. 13 times 13 is 169. So C is equal to 13 exactly. Looking at question 8, we see that we don't know A. We know that B is 40 and C is 50. Using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we don't have anything to fill in for A, but we know that b squared is 40 squared and c squared is 50 squared. 40 times 40 is 1600, and 50 times 50 is 2500. We can subtract 1600 from both sides to leave just a squared on our left side of the equation. 2500 minus 1600 is 900. We undo our square by taking the square root of both sides. And we get that A is equal to 30. Now let's take a look at some of our word problems. Let's start with number 12. Two joggers run 8 miles north and then 5 miles west. What is the shortest distance they must travel to return to their starting point? So here's their starting point. Remember, if we have a compass, it looks like this: north, south, west, east. So if we have a starting point right here, they run 8 miles north and then they run 5 miles west. And we want to know what is the shortest distance they must travel to return to their starting point. So we want to know what this distance is right here, and that's our hypotenuse. So we'll use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we know that a is 5 and b is 8. So we get 25 plus 64 equals c squared. And 25 plus 64 is 89. We undo our square using the square root. And the square root of 89 is approximately 9.4. Use our squigglies, 9.4. Now let's take a look at question 15. A suitcase measures 24 inches long and the diagonal is 30 inches long. Well, imagine a suitcase is a big rectangle and it measures 24 inches long and the diagonal across it is 30 inches long. How much material is needed to cover one side of the suitcase? So there's a question within a question here. What we're asking is if I want to cover this suitcase with like a cloth, I need to know what this area is. But remember, to find the area, I need the length and the width, which I don't know. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the width. 24 inches is equal to A. I don't know what B is, and 30 inches is equal to C. So my Pythagorean theorem looks like 24 squared plus B squared is equal to 30 squared. We'll simplify what we can. 24 times 24 is 576 plus B squared is equal 30 times 30 is 900. We can subtract 576 from both sides to tell us that B squared is equal to 324. To undo my square, we take the square root. 324 is a perfect square. B is equal to 18 inches. So now I can really answer my question, how much material is needed to cover one side of the suitcase? I know that one side is 24 inches and another side is 18 inches. So 24 times 18 will tell me the area. 24 times 18 is 432 square inches of material. Thanks for watching. Please answer the questions I left unanswered on your own and ask your teacher if you need any assistance.